Of course, if you're working full-time as well, meanwhile. Coming back to today's topic and who am I will tell, okay. So what we're gonna speak today, I will tell more about what I'm actually doing and who am I. I will tell you some brief about what art tech is. We'll tell you history of it. Don't worry, it won't be boring. It's just like to give you more overall information, why it's important, and of course, I will show you examples in the modern world. I didn't want to make it really long, so we'll have more time for Q&A session, and you can ask any private questions right there. So, uh, hi everyone who I've met before or people who I still haven't met. I do believe that I live in the world where we're all friends and all strangers are just friends that you haven't met yet. I'm Ukrainian, as you can maybe learn from my accent, and I was living in 7 different countries. And talking about my startup journey, well, it was never horizontal or it was never easy, but it was definitely a fun one. So when you're here working on your projects, I can be from one part very jealous that you have an idea and shining eyes. From another one, I was like, okay, good luck with this. Talking about my case, I was a founder of 3 different startups. One was successful exit. 2 of them were not so successful, but I do believe there is no mistakes, it's only experience. Talking about how it can be helpful maybe to you, I'm also startup mentor and board of directors in 4 different organizations. Beside this, I really believe in community and what you can give, not only what you can take. That's how 3 years ago, when I just moved to London, I realized that a lot of my friends who were Ukrainian, they weren't so lucky to find job as me. I was the one who found a new job in art tech British startup in 7th day in London, in a new country without knowing anyone. Back then, I was sure that that's how London works. I was sure that job market is just like this, like super viral and super active. Well, I was wrong. And a lot of people who I never met start messaging me. It was friends of friends, like, well, you found job for yourself, find something for me. That's how the idea of community started growing. London tech community, it's the biggest tech community of Ukrainians here in the UK. We're helping to find jobs, find new opportunities for people who already have experience and background. They're just in a new country. And if talking about my work, what I'm doing, I'm digitalizing culture institutions. For more than a decade, I was just IT consultant. I worked with fintech and medtech. Thanks to COVID, it was first time when I realized that maybe I'm commercially super successful, but still something is missing from my happiness. And art was always my biggest passion. Since I'm a kid, I was going to museums, I was going to galleries. It was my way of unwind or learn something new. Even when I was working in fintech and I was opening markets of the biggest corporations, first place where I was going on a business trip, it was always a museum. And during COVID, it was first time when I wasn't flying to business trip every week, or I wasn't on a conference working nonstop. And I realized that maybe it's time to build products not for someone else, but for me as well. That's how idea of art tech startup came up. We had a ER gallery, and everything was working pretty good before war started. Unfortunately, my CTO died under rubble. 8 of developers from my team members, they joined army forces. So I put it in pause, and that's how I appear to be in London. And that's how everything have changed. Now I have more focus on culture institutions, and I will tell you about them later on today. Talking about my background, I already told you a few words that art was always, let's say, in my DNA. It's actually also my first education. I was lucky enough to be an exchange student in States, well, more than 17 years ago. And visual arts was my first major. But back then in Ukraine, again, talking about post-USSR countries, all you need to know is like, well, culture, it's a nice hobby. You can't make money, you can't make living. That's how I appear to be international lawyer. But I was always taking care of that part, and I was always constantly on courses, or I was really taking care of this hobby, but I was always thinking about it as a hobby. Before, one of clients of the company where I was working on was Louis Vuitton Foundation. It was 2018, and that's how first time my business life finally clashed to my passion. And I realized that maybe I can be successful and combine these two worlds, and no one needs to push me to choose only one part of myself. In 2018, also, like, to give you the context, do you remember that time? It was, again, before COVID. Maybe we all forgot this time. And I started just writing cold emails to other museums. I started to focus, like, well, if we helped one organization, there are so many museums in the world, they all need help. And I had another, actually, startup idea. It was mostly focused on art and tech travel, but COVID started and I put it on pause. Another thing that really helped me was to go to Sotheby's Institute. During COVID, it was first time when they got online courses, because before it was only offline. You need to fly to UK, you need to proceed with all this visa. Andrei, I bet I can tell you now everything about how visa can be stressful and can sometimes it's not working out as we believe it should work. So for me, online was the best decision ever. I was like, okay, I will go to these courses and let's think what we can do with this. And what it actually gave me, it gave me understanding and that I can do it. Like, seriously, they were talking about some facts that I already knew before. So I also do believe that education can be part of giving you actually nice self-esteem, that it will give you this understanding that you are enough, your knowledge is enough. Of course, you always need to learn something new, but you're here in the right place, just go for it. Yeah. Well, it's all you need to know about my luck. I was packing my luggage to San Diego School of Design, but professor who chose me, because I won scholarship that was covering all the costs, professor who chose me decided to change all his life and move to Wyoming, middle of nowhere. And I was living in city with 8,000 people. I'm big city girl. And for me, it was quite challenging. Seriously, half of my classmates were riding horses to get to the school. But what I didn't know, that just because it's middle of nowhere, and Wyoming was also great about taxes, great about even their cost of education. That's how they could get best teachers from all the country who wanted to change. So talking about my teachers, they were the best professors and best assistants I have ever met in my life. And I was studying a lot. I did. Yeah, I have very unusual skills from that studies, but I'm always telling that I actually learned that I'm going to Wyoming 2 weeks before my flight. And I was 15, so I finished school earlier than my classmates in 2 years. And back then the internet was super slow. So when I was actually Googling what Wyoming is, do you remember when internet is slow, Wikipedia page was going like article by article? So I was waiting for 5 minutes to know where I'm actually going, without parents, without support, without friends. And all pictures that were in Wikipedia, it was oil, horses, cows. I was like, where are people? Do they actually have school? What am I going to do there? But yeah, talking about nature, I lived maybe 30 minutes away from Yellowstone National Park. So talking about nature, it's still one of the best nature I have ever seen. It's super beautiful, super picturesque, but very challenging. That's for sure. And yeah, talking about visual arts, what it gave me great foundation. I was working with different media, like by my hands. I wasn't art historian, I wasn't lecturer, I wasn't even thinking that you can combine it with technology, because I wasn't even from technology world back then. But what one of, I would say, pioneers and like women in art, in digital art, Drui Kataoka was saying that when a work of art reaches its highest form, it becomes type of technology. When a piece of technology reaches its highest form, we call it art. And for me, after I heard her interview, it's like, okay, now it all makes sense. And well, I still struggle to tell my parents and tell them what I'm actually doing. And I will tell you, I will try to tell you during this brief presentation what actually art tech means. And I do believe that it's just a combination of the two best worlds, and I'm right in the middle of it. So coming back to serious things, it just refers to to the use and application of technology in the creation, presentation, and distribution of art. So all things that I will tell you today, it will be just examples. No one in the world can tell you, well, this is definition, only this refers to art tech space. Anything beside this won't be there. There is so much more theory, there is so much discussion. Again, old art history also, one thing very important, art is subjective. Art history is super subjective. And what everyone will tell you that is his definition is just one part of looking at things. And for me, it's just a great push to the boundaries. I do believe that with age of technology, we're all upraising and we're always constantly developing. And art tech is just a logical way of pushing these boundaries. Here I try to include, let's say, the most popular art tech ways. It can be digital paintings, 3D modeling, VR and AR, one of startups that I was doing actually with AR technology, generative art, interactive installations, integration of AI, and blockchain technology. I know, have any of you were in Tate Modern recently? They have right now amazing exhibition about art tech. I know that they were developing it for 3 years, and it's one more proof that there's no constant. Let's say, okay, from this date starts art tech. No, there's so many theories and so many ways how to look at the situation. For me personally, or actually for history art books, birth of digital arts starts from 1980s because Aaron computer came into the market. It means there's more access to people for technology. It means computer first time in your life was actually in the rooms of people in their houses. You don't need to go to a big plant. You don't need to go to big corporation to use a computer and to have it maybe in 5 minutes in spare time. You actually have an access to it. And here is one of the greatest example that actually you can see original in Tate. It's a computer drawing that was done in 1982. And we can also see how in this short amount of time, this industry have raised. I love to talk also about first pioneers. It's actually people who maybe not even worked by their own hands to develop this industry, but they were the one pushing people to start thinking about it. And one of the main guys was actually Vannevar Bush. He wrote in the Atlantic Monthly essay, As We May Think, in July 1945. And he is also one of the guys who was working on this famous Open Gamer project. So I would say that a lot of different physicists were the first ones who started talking about art tech and about actually a combination of science and technology, combination of other industries and technology. And if you're referring that art tech world is actually something that you're using hyperlinks or hypertext, then we can tell that everything have started from Hypermedia of Theodore Nelson in 1961. So if we're talking about upraise, it's Aaron computer, but there was so many more things behind it that actually developed it to there. And have you ever met this girl? One part of my, let's say, personal mission is embrace no names of female leaders. And this is Lilian Schwartz. And for me personally, she is actually the first one who started working in art tech space and actually creating in paintings that now are sold in art museums, in art exhibitions. And she is super powerful in art tech space world. What I mean back then, she was working in different media, but she became the first one who started doing portraits in this space. If we're talking about adoption, by first adoption, I always mean when it goes to mass market, when not only niche scientists or niche artists are working with this technology, it's when people can play it around at their home. And I love BBC Panorama. Before moving to UK, never heard about it, to be honest. But even in a Tate exhibition, they're talking about this painting with light, and they're telling how one TV show can actually develop a whole new industry that no one heard before, but it also gave them like jump to start working with it. And here in this picture, you can see Adrian Wilson, who is who is having like a workstation. By that I mean he's playing around. You can see TV. He was doing some algorithm how to work with his photography, so we can see different media, and we can see first use of different technology on top of media. If we're talking about big names, then I would like to start that Andy Warhol was the first one who started working with, like you all know that he was always doing portraits of someone famous. So what he did, he put really famous artists, musicians, and kind of like stars of those times, and he started playing around and actually did a series of work using Commodore Amiga. It was time before Adobe Photoshop and all this time. And he was doing also self-portraits. That's how this first computer, the Commodore, looked like. So Andy Warhol became, I wouldn't call brand ambassador, but I do believe that part of popularization of computers, and everyone started wanted to have this computer, became with portraits of those people. So again, one more impact that no one thinks, how art tech can impact other industries and how you can use it, for example, in your marketing strategy. Coming back to our times, I know a lot of collectioners. I'm passionate art collector myself, and I know how still, even till these days, a lot of people are super skeptical about if digital art is something can be collectible or not. Video art, well, maybe it's not real art. But in this case, Bill Viola have changed everything and have changed this game. After his works became famous, every pretty much art collector in the world started having him, and he became the first one when art was buying not only in physical form like a painting itself, but by buying artwork, an art piece, you were actually buying a computer, a screen, or video display. And it also changed and shaped art industry differently. If we're talking about British names, of course, and like being here in Oxford, I can't forget about David Hockney. He's super old, but during all his career, he was always trying to find media that he wants to try. I do believe that he's innovative pioneer. Some new features appeared and he tried it. Some new gadgets appeared and he tried it. So during all his life, he was changing it from painting to photography. Then he went to digital collages. And even in his age, first iPhone appeared and he started drawing in it. And he was like, okay, is it possible to draw or not? Then there was a tablet, and in iPad, you can actually see a lot of paintings that are sold, done by him in such auctions like Sotheby's or Christie's, that he was actually drawing them on iPads. And it's also one of the great reminders for those skeptical art collectors that art can be done in many other ways and many digital forms. Talking about NFT world, well, yeah. Yeah. Well, it's all depends. If we're talking about the price for David Hockney now, just because, well, I don't want to sound like not skeptical, but well, we all know that he's like 90, so we need to buy him now before he's dead. So now we can see a lot of interest in his paintings. And if we're talking about his series, for example, if we're talking about self-portrait, it will cost much more than this painting. The most expensive iPad painting is actually from the series of Woods. You can see I was seeing original print of it in York, one of the most famous insurance companies that insure art owns it, and they bought it for 7 million pounds. Yes, it's David Hockney. Of course, it's silver lining. Of course, it's typography. Of course, so there's so many ways how to understand the pricing. Again, coming back to first thing that I told you, art is subjective. No one can put a price tag. Well, it costs only this. There's a lot of reasons why it costs that much. But for me, it's always a reminder when someone is telling, my kid can draw the same, or my kid can draw better. I was like, your kid is not David Hockney, right? So it's all about different factors that impacts the price. But I don't want to undervalue digital art. I don't want to undervalue art tech as an industry. Coming back to NFT world, we remember 4 years ago, boom, everyone wanted to do it. Do you remember for how much it was sold? Even like approximately. I even forgot. It was NFT boom. We all have it all around in news. Let me find it. Okay. It's people, and he sold it for $69 million. And for people who are not in this industry, it was all shock. That's how I guess the whole world heard first time that what NFT is. Everyone started be interested, and they also wanted to do the same and sell for the same price, of course. But for me, it's not only like, well, it's strange image. For me, it means years of work. For 12 years, people, it's a German artist, was drawing digital painting every day for 12 years. So when you were buying his NFT, it's his 12 years of career. Then if you count it, well, maybe it doesn't overprice at all. It costs its money. But my idea of NFT world is to understand always for what. Even when I'm digitalizing culture institutions and we were doing strategy for them, I was like, what problem it's solving? You always need to start from it. When in any industry, if there is a hype, if there is big numbers, you can see a lot of scammers. So that's how during hype of NFT, we can see a lot of money flips and money washing. So it wasn't actually about art itself, but still such artists as people who became super popular in this industry were leading it. AR, VR art. By AR, I mean augmented reality. If we're talking about my own startup, it was also online gallery in your pocket, obviously. With VR art, I remember during COVID, everyone was talking that it's the next thing because you need just to put a helmet on and you can travel around the world. The technology is still not there for mass adoption. I was sure that 2 years ago, when Meta would release their own helmets, it will change the industry itself because first of all, price is affordable. But then we realized that price is not affordable for everyone. For mass adoption, everyone needs to have it just in your pocket. We all know that still 40% of people have no idea when they are wearing this VR glasses or VR helmet for more than 4 minutes. So we're still not there yet, but I believe it's happening. With AR, it's much easier. And the biggest shock for me was to understand that actually retail are pushing it. So retail is trying to get our money, our attention, and they are ready to innovate and risk. I'm not talking about reputation risks, I'm talking about innovation risks. They're ready to invest, to check it out. And that's another thing that you can might be used or apply in your idea. Of course, blockchain and digital preservation. The number one problem in art world is actually provenance. By provenance, I mean kind of like passport of transactions, who owns this painting before. And if you would see whole big sales, even in art auctions, you will always find a gap in, I would say, 80% of sales, you will always find the gap where this painting was from 40s to 60s of last century. It's like, surprise, surprise, who owned it? But everyone was telling, well, maybe it was hidden somewhere in Europe or it was in Switzerland somehow. But we all know that it means it was rooted, looted, or actually it was bought for nothing because of Nazis. So one of the biggest impact that blockchain can make in art world is actually to make it transparent and clear, talking about pricing, talking about ownership. And I do believe that there's, I wouldn't say a lot of startups in this sphere, but there's 3 big leaders and they're doing great stuff. And it's another big plus of NFT world that pushed art world, and now we can see the change. And of course, AI art. I know that it's your topic. Maybe you'll tell me even more about it. But here I want to tell you more about some great examples of how people are using it. For example, when I just created a prompt, it's like, how art tech artist looks like. Here is what it's showing. Again, we can see another problem in art world. When we're talking about artists, first thing we think about actually a guy, a man. It's another talk about female artists. So coming back to AI art, first generative art, restoration and enhancement, style transfer, interactive installations. Let me tell you some great examples. This is my dog George, and I asked ChatGPT how George would look like as a man. Since then, I can't be in my flat. That's how I'm in Oxford without him. I was like, maybe I need space. But it's a great example how AI creates unique images, videos, and 3D visuals from prompts. By unique, I mean combination of all stuff that he have seen in your life. I really liked and one scientific research that was telling that actually all people that you're seeing in your dreams, I mean, by when when you're sleeping at night, in your dreams, you're always seeing people that you have seen before. Maybe you didn't remember them, maybe you just met them randomly on the street, but our brains cannot generate new features, new images. That's how AI works as well. It just like basically combines all stuff that he have seen before. And from my cute little George, you have seen this guy. Restoration and enhancement. Another great way of actually social impact, how art tech can help. I know, even talking about my own country, we have a lot of people who, just like me, lost their places to live, and we have lost pictures of our loved ones. And after, hi there. And that's another great way how AI can make an impact and make a difference. So from some pictures that are broken, that are unfolded, it can just basically recreate with AI tools, it can recreate the original ones, or at least try to recreate. Style transfer. It's something that we love playing around. For example, when I was working with Google Arts and Culture, it became the most popular feature in our app. It actually also can make your media advertisement more viral. It's when you're letting people to be playful, when you're letting people to create and be creative, because I do believe this is our basic need. And since we are kids, we are always creating something new. So style transfer can also be a nice way of adding gamification, of more entertaining, and actually can make an impact to your loyalty as a brand in your app. And of course, interactive art installations. Here you can see Rafik Anadol work. If you have seen, for example, Unframed, that is in Tottenham Station in London, you're seeing these beautiful, huge screens, and you're basically integrating in the space. And that's how Rafik Anadol's work works the same. When I was when I was doing research on his work and on his I would say CV of an artist, I always try to find maybe deep meaning, how he was inspired. But he's basically telling you, I'm just doing something beautiful. I want you to be lost in this art digital world and forget about all your worries and just to look at something beautiful for at least 10 seconds. It's already enough if he catched your intention. And of course, I couldn't miss new ways of displaying art. For example, Here you can see me with ink poster. Fingers crossed that in July I can invite you all to Selfridges and you can also check these gadgets by yourself. It's very hard for marketing. It's very hard for doing anything beautiful like advertisement, just because the technology looks like a painting itself. So talking about new ways of displaying art, what I tried to tell you, I'm not here to tell you more about screens or laptops that we all use, or maybe even art on watches that became super popular during NFT era. Here you can see how other materials that have no one used before can impact this world. For example, ink technology. For more than 12 years, electronic ink is a thing. It's a technology that was done, patented, and for many years it was only black and white. Only since 2 years ago, guys who were working in it for 10 years started working in color theme. And we had this idea to basically recreate with color ink and recreate paper-like paintings. And now we can see that, and fingers crossed, it will be mass adopted. But we can see how it actually pushed the sphere. And now, even during this year, we have, I'm seeing not a lot of competitors, but a lot of startups who are also working on this sphere. They are looking for new ways to display art, because COVID also showed a lot of new collectors. There's a lot of new ways of how, for example, if you're moving, you can't take all your art collection with you. If you lost your house during bombing, you can't recreate those paintings. So there's a lot of different meanings and reasons why it needs to be done, but it's one of the great ways to showcase it. And coming back to my main theme is when you're combining arts and culture. If we're talking about industry in general, it's the slowest industry in the world if we're talking about any innovations. Seriously, if you're going to museums, you can see that. Only startups who are pushing this sphere, and when you're even knocking the door to the museum, you can just tell them, well, I can help you out. No, you're already coming with a sponsor who are doing this, and you're like going there together. So if you want to work in this industry, you always need to keep in mind when you're writing a cold email, if you're just going to them for a meeting, you always need to keep in mind that money will be your own problem. So you need to think about potential sponsors that can sponsor your idea. And in this particular industry, it's just working that way. So, and what are the main reasons why actually institutions are finally became open and finally started working and looking at this sphere? Of course, COVID. We're all laughing that no one helped us. Even none of innovation managers helped us as much as COVID did. That's how museums and art institutions and like biggest galleries in the world realized that, well, maybe the world is changing and they need to be prepared. Second, they need to engage to younger audience. Right now, we can see also that every startup, every big company, corporation, they all want to see younger audience. They need this client to nurture them, so they'll become loyal to their brand. And for museums, it's problem number one, how they can engage with younger generations. Second, preserve cultural heritage. Again, Ukraine is also a great example in it, that unfortunately not all of our museum archives were digitalized. Now everyone is digitalizing them, they're finding money, they're finding sponsors, and learn by our mistakes. Unlock new revenue opportunities and models. We can see how economy is shifting, and now no one is sure what will be the next year. By now, maybe you can have money, you can have sponsors. It might be different next year. So now museums became, I wouldn't say independent. They want to be independent, and they need to think about the ways how they can generate money by themselves. Create access to educational content. It's a social impact part that is very necessary, and I do believe in a global world, we need to create centralized system of all the cultural heritage education content in the world where we can all share. And talking about providing artists with the infrastructure to expand their artistic research and conceptualization, it sounds very complicated, but if talking about it shorter, artists needs to highlight their art. they're done with just drawing in their kitchens and no one appreciating them. There is so much art going on, and it's so hard to get into gallery. It's pretty much impossible to get into museum. So they also need to way to showcase their art. Not so fun fact, cultural heritage is a war target. And that's why I'm always telling this, and I do believe that it's important to remind about it, because a lot of people forget about it. They all think that culture may be not a basic need. But actually, for many centuries, uh, it was cultural heritage, museums, your favorite monuments will be always a target for another one's army. And that's how we started working with a lot of metaverse projects. In Ukraine, it became more accessible just because people want to even recreate places that they have lost. I want to tell you just brief information what it is and how it can be done. So it's basically making you interactive experience with different technology that I have already told you. It can be 3D, it can be educational content also added there. So you can also make it more accessible to people with some disabilities. I also do believe that every museum in the world now should become phygital. By that, I mean not only physical, but also have an impact in digital world. And for this, we can see a lot of features that can be added to make it as a full experience. For example, crowdfunding. It's also a great way for actually having more loyalty and having from people who are really already your target audience, how you can interact with them, how they can help you and support you. Art production, by that I mean you're also providing a platform for community, for local artists. Digital merchandising, I do believe that there will be one day when we'll come to museum and it will be first time when you won't buy just a postcard that you will send to your friend, but you'll buy an NFT that will remind you about this wonderful day walking in the gallery. Proof of presence, verify visitors' identity. So no need for members cards, no need for carrying or sending them, because actually producing of plastic cards is taking maybe even like 50% of membership fee that you're paying. By that I mean onboarding you, sending you this physical merchandise as magazines, as plastic card itself. Unlockable content, for example, by what I mean here, it's everything that you will see on a display in the physical museum, you can also see virtually through metaverse. And yes, I didn't want to talk a lot. I wanted to just answer your questions. And yeah, you can ask me anything now. I tried to give you just brief information about what art tech means, so you won't just fall asleep in the morning. Thank you. Sure. So. You see, we also need to be. We're in digital room. You see.
May I ask your opinion about NFT nowadays? Because I remember when it was so popular like a few years ago, but these days I haven't heard about it that much. But I believe it's still popular now.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So if we're talking about NFT as technology, I'm true believer. So all you need to know about me, I was working with blockchain technology since 2016. So again, technology itself can never be a trouble. It's not the one who is making all these frauds. It's always people. So when someone is asking me about NFT, I was like, show me. I was like, it all depends on what. So if you're talking about technology, yes, it's amazing technology that you can use to solve business problems. For example, for one of the biggest museums here in London, we were tokenizing their airplane collection. It sounds weird, but if you're looking at their target audience, it's very different from other museums. Plus, the biggest event that they're having once a year, they have a very big festival of airplane show. And we used these tokens as actually entry tickets that can be scammed, that can be transferred to other people for more money. And plus, target audience who already were collecting all their life these airplanes. So actually it's additional value to them. So for me, it's one of great examples of adding value with technology to your end customer. But if we're talking about NFT swapping, then maybe it's great technology for money washing, for money laundering for them. If we're talking about NFT art, I know some artists who are still working in this space, and they're true believers because they believe in decentralized world. They want to live like this, and they're still great artists. So it's always depends on what. Thank you. Sure.
Thank you for your talk.
Thank
I
you.
have a question about the e-ink portrait
Mhm.
for the. So, how if is the technology available to like also include like texture into pictures?
Yeah, sure.
Or is it just like a Kindle type screen?
Yeah, exactly. So talking about e-ink, great example is Kindle. And here is just like Kindle example of screen, but in color. And what we're also having, I actually have it here, it's a mobile application as an art gallery itself, from where you can choose a painting and it will reappear there. But I also do believe that I want to even to patent this name. It's like like ink printing, just because when you're displaying it in laptop, it will be done in a second easily. Whereas the ink is different. So you basically have only 4 colors that are blending inside. And it's taken time. So I'm always telling it's a feature, not a bug. When you're waiting in front of screen and you don't know what's happening there, it's basically ink is mixing together. And for me, as in like art collector, the most coolest part is that it really looks like paper. So people, when they were seeing, for example, in CES, we were in Las Vegas, and everyone was touching, even though we have a lot of different plates, please don't touch it. Everyone was touching it because they can't believe it's a screen that because there is no light, there is no blue light, there is no. It doesn't look like screen at all. It just looks like paper. Talking about the patent, it's super expensive. So anyone can work in this space, but why the gadget is so expensive? Just because the patent for it is expensive. That's the thing. I do believe that it's possible to create a new innovation technology that will be cheaper, but we're still not there yet. It's a new thing. If we're talking about black and white examples for displaying art, the greatest one is Ionic. It's a Belgium art tech startup, and their screen starts from 9,000 pounds. Yeah, so it's also like, just to understand, the quality is amazing. You're like fascinated with it, but the technology is super expensive.
So is this something that would be in people's homes or
Yes, it's for people's homes.
Okay.
But of course, for B2B clients, we have, it's not like the product is not the same. We have different approach. But the thing that you're seeing right now in my hands here, it's for, yeah, it's B2C, it's for people's homes. It's more affordable. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so this idea sounds really cool, but it's not exactly clear to me how it actually works. So like, is there an actual screen? But you said the ink is mixing there as well. How does it work?
Yeah, so basically you're having just like Kindle, you're just reading a book and you're not seeing how all this ink is mixing, right? Just because it's like very fast. With color, it's still like slightly more slower, but it just looks like screen, so you don't see the mixture of this ink because you'll just see a screen in front of yourself.
And is this like reusable?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
And the coolest part that I would say, it's not USP, but it's nice to have when we're talking about sustainable world. And it's one approach that museums, for example, really love, just because it doesn't need any charging for 1 year. So it's very useful.
Cool.
I've seen a lot of backlash to AI art from like artists. I feel like the two things that they seem to be talking about a lot is like, one, the art that they're producing being used for training, and two, also the argument that they feel that the product of what they're selling is their style itself that they've developed over the years. What's your take on it?
Again, I will start technology is never a problem. It's like how people are using it's a problem. And talking about IP rights, I don't know if anyone from you worked here was actually IP of art. It's hell. Every country have their own laws that they created by itself. It's not incorporated anyhow. In one country, it can be public domain art. In another, it will be totally forbidden at all to reuse it. When we're talking about such new thing as AI-generated art, again, we don't see any strict regulations anywhere, or we're seeing regulation that actually is not making any sense. So I can't tell you that, well, it's a great thing, everyone should use it, or not to use it, and it will just it will just destroy art world totally. We will see how it goes. By now, it's a new technology. I can understand why artists are worrying, that's for sure, just because, as I already told you, AI can't create a new thing, it can compile new thing. Then there is a lawyer's talk when we're talking about how author rights should be regulated. For example, AI art, what does it mean? It means that you are generating it from two images. So then two artists can be like really not happy that someone reuse it. And how will you count it? 50% or 50%? Then there's some regulations, trines of regulations in different countries when they're telling that, well, IP are not working if 72% of the art was generated by all other stuff and only 28% were done by you. So you can't have an IP right for this particular case. So it's always a percentage. It's still a discussion and still open. We don't have any strict regulations on the market yet because we still don't know the limits of the technology itself.
How is it possible to know the percentages from which it's come? When, from my understanding, I thought like most AI at the moment is still a black box and you can't really see its inner workings.
It's a great question. Of course, no one can just put a tablet, you know, it's like, for example, it will be 20 centimeters, it's 20 centimeters. In IP cases, it's again, great example, it's actually movie posters. If you think that IP of art itself is hell, you never worked with movie posters, because that's how one movie poster can 70 different parties can have legal rights for this poster. For me, it's not making any sense, but that's how it works. So what they created in, for example, in States in 1980s, they created, what will be the English term for this? It's like visibility of an artist. A lot of actors weren't happy that some of big companies still reusing their posters, even when they, I don't know, didn't sign the contract or they didn't want to be. Usually, posters and merchandises are signed by actors for a limited of time. So what big companies, for example, as Universal's created, they created to make posters with silhouettes of people who look like those actors. So that's how the term visibility were created in legal rights. It's if you can easily recognize. So it means if it's recognizable or not recognizable. If you can easily recognize that is this particular actor, not other ones, then it's IP right. If you can easily recognize that it's this particular artist, it's this particular painting, then it should be obliged within these regulations.
Okay, that's really interesting. Thank you.
I have my first white hair because of this project.
I have another question about e-ink technology. You mentioned about mixing ink. I know that, for example, ebooks use just color filter and capsules with this different proportion for white and black. Is it the same, or are you actually mixing like red, blue inks inside?
So it's not RGB as what we all got used to this. For me, it was a mind blowing. I was like, how? I thought all the world is just red, yellow, and red, yellow, and blue. RGB, no, green. You see, now I'm mixing. In ink, it's blue. So now it's all, for me, it was the biggest shock to understand that it looks different. So the spectrum is quite different. But if we're talking about adding capsules on top, yes, it's the same technology as e-books are doing, but they were doing it in black and white. Now they can do it in color.
So you have actually different coloring inside.
So Ink Poster is actually a project of one of the biggest e-readers company. Yeah. Of course.
Hey, I'm Lisa. I'm working in AI space, so it's also moving pretty fast, generating myself a lot of things based on different styles and images. And I'm just curious to hear your opinion, where you think this world is moving. Because I'm myself like a fan of like old kind of style art. I'm not a big fan of like modern art, not always, because it's sometimes not obvious for me, but I just question like the talent of the person, maybe the vision, and I just feel like, old school artists are, much more, I would say they needed to put much more effort there. So I'm just curious, how do you feel about the future, next 30 to 50 years, where it's moving? Are we going to have the opportunity, let's say, to visit like fully VR, let's say museums, and then people will lose this kind of touch to real art and like go to Paris, for example, to Louvre to see the Mona Lisa? Or how do you feel about it? Like, I know that, generations changes, but just your personal feeling.
Thank
How
you
do
for
you
a
see
question.
it?
I guess 3 years ago, I would answer it totally different. I was optimist. No? Yeah, coming back to your question. Now, my planning is only 2 weeks in advance. I do believe the world has shifted. We are moving with such speed, and direction can be constantly changed in opposite ways. I can tell you, and I can answer it differently, how I see perfect world, how it should look like. So in my case, I'm creating generalization of like all museums in the world. There will be one unified platform for everyone, because actually number one cost of any museum, if we're talking about temporary exhibitions, it's logistical costs. It's like it literally costs millions of pounds, and it's not making any sense. Of course, if it's even temporary, it just flies to another country for a few months. And I do believe that there will be, it's not like new COVID or new restrictions around logistics, but it will be much harder for us to travel than it was now. And for this, I do believe it's important to have accessibility for cultural goods around the world. For example, since I'm a small kid, I was always a fan of Persian culture. Seriously, I have no idea why, but when I heard that Syria was bombed completely and it was always like the place where all this culture was coming from, I was crying, but I was like 12 or something. So for everyone around my close circle, it wasn't making any sense because it's not related to my family, to my culture, but it means that some culture was gone completely. Of course, it's still in someone's private collections, were looted, but it also shows how fragile culture is. I do believe that people need to create, not to destroy. But also we have very few examples from the history when we need to preserve what we have already. And for that, I want to have one unified platform where you can see any cultural goods from the world and you can have access to it. If we're talking about physical touch, I'm from that people who still collect physical art. It's not making any sense, because I already lost all my art collection in Ukraine, but I'm still doing it here from the beginning. And if now I'm thinking, well, if I'll move somewhere with art collection, it's a hell. Again, talking about certification, licensing, I'm not even talking about logistical costs, but I still need to have it in my room. And I do believe that it's already scientifically researched, and they proved that when looking at physical art, it changes your mind, your brain completely. So it's still necessary for us. Maybe it will be in other way. For example, we will have community galleries, we will have community museums, and then there will be no temporary exhibitions from all the world. How, for example, Italy have sent to for British Museum, I don't know, huge wagons of marmor. Like they weighted 2 tons, and I can only imagine logistical costs for it. And it will be definitely a benefit when you're traveling and seeing it in front of your eyes. But still, even looking on digital versions, it's still a great benefit. That's my point of view.
Hi, I'm Owen, and I was thinking about NFTs a few years ago. It was like the fastest boom and fastest crash I've ever seen. And do you think that, and people nowadays have like a negative impression towards NFT. I was wondering if it would have been better for the NFT industry if that did not happen and it just slowly grew.
Yeah. I was always the one who's like, oh, I wish it won't happen. I wish no one will know about our small world. But that's not how innovation works. When it first appears on the market, everyone is talking about it. Boom is unavailable. Like we can't just avoid it. It's unavoidable. That happened with blockchain as well. Like technology is beautiful by itself. It's solving all the issues that I need to solve in business. But the usage is different. So I do believe that hype is unavoidable if we're talking about mass adoption. So any innovation in the world will have a boom. A lot of people who never worked or never cared in this space will try to get in to make money and run away. That's unavoidable in any types of industry.
Just one more question about the technology. So from what I understand, for colored e-ink art, e-ink displays, they use what pigments. So they shift the pigments with EM waves or something. So would it mean that the art would look generally duller? So hence the older kind of art, and the newer arts where we have neon kind of highlighting and everything, that wouldn't work as well. And one more thing is you need a very bright light to shine on the canvas.
That's also another topic to discuss, because I'm always telling it's a feature, not a bug. But what I can see, again, from my own experience, now I have professional deformation. When I'm looking at any new art in the world, I'm like, oh, will it fit or not fit? Can you imagine? So, of course, if we're talking about the technology itself, it hates some colors. For example, it hates magenta. Magenta in ink, it's impossible to reproduce, but we already created some filters on top, so it will be visible. Talking about this dull moment, of course, it can happen if the colors are not fitting in with imposter. That's why I already can tell if it will work. For example, these colors will be just fine, like what you have. Black, blue, yellow, so like mustard yellow, it will go perfectly. If we're talking about neon, I'm like, we're not that display. If you want to highlight your neon art, buy a LED screen. It will be much brighter. You'll have this blue light on your face. It will work. But if we're talking about paper-like, again, it's something that we wanted to create, this paper-like feeling, and this, analog. It's just like some people are vinyl lovers. It will work the same.
So that means that you're able to charge your customers not just for the e-ink display, but also the technique, evaluating whether their art would work on your canvas.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, and we have discussed it. For example, we have a feature that you can just put any picture, any image, basically in the display, but we won't charge money for it now. We will see how, like right now we're an MVP version. When maybe next year, we will think about it if we can limit it anyhow. For example, you can download 5 images. If you want to fit it perfectly, you can send it to us, and for additional cost, we can work on it. Of course, that's an idea, but we don't want to work on it right now.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
I just want to thank, because I think it's phenomenal what, as you say, technology and can offer us. But one thing you inspired, and I think it resonates with what we were trying as well, just to do within the 3 years of war, and all these tools, NFT and platforms, and you just now inspired with this one platform for the world. Because one thing which I would like to say, when the war started, and we had amazing composers, amazing artists, and they some physically came. In fact, during the first year, we had Maestro Silvestrov.
who was at that time in 2022, he was already 85.
Wow.
And no one knew, even just in even I didn't know, although my family musicians and that some of his compositions and pieces are used by Oxford University and the Faculty of Composition to teach how to compose.
Oh, wow.
And then just again through this very interesting discussion with some dislocated talented musicians as well, they were saying unfortunately again just because of propaganda, because of all that, the world didn't know about many things which we have. And one dream was mentioned, and now you articulated that what would be a good idea to have this one theater, one platform where just all these masterminds, all these talented just, and you can share and reach out to the rest of the world, and you can be this renaissance whatever just globe theater for the world to change, to improve, to inspire, and to share. And I think, just today you summarized and you gave a really great hope. And I am already, just hunting for you to connect with these great people, because some are now, just in Kharkov, some, just, and hopefully, like we have Kharkov, Karazin University connected, and Kiev. So hopefully we'll see some of their faces later. Okay. So thank you ever so much, Diana. That was very, very inspiring. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your questions.
actually got some sound effects.
Yeah. Why don't you stand right?
Yeah? Okay.
Look at your phone and look at your stock portfolio.
Oh, my portfolio.
It should be jumped
Oh my gosh.
after yesterday. Plus 10%, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
gosh, I'm in a bad mood now.
Ready, set, go.
Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Yara.
Hi,
I know
Yara.
you just came back from Arabian Emirates.
You know me?
Yes, I know you're a
Oh.
famous one.
Oh.
And I know you just came back and you're very interested in the oil industry. However, I'm pretty sure that you're interested in other parts and industries, which will be skyrocket again.
I love making money.
I know. Do you know that 69% of brands struggle to use influence marketing channels to advertise them because they cannot find a proper influencers?
I didn't know that.
It's true, and it's a huge potential because right now digital marketing is cost around 32 billions, and it grows 33% year to year, so it's a huge opportunity. And we decided to address this problem with Perfect. It's AI-powered platform that automate influence marketing and help SMBs to find the proper right influencers. So basically, we operate like an agency, but that's just in your phone, so you can check not only your already portfolio, you can check a Perfect as well. Basically, we are based on values for business, try to find the best influencers, nano and micro one, and eliminate all the guesswork, all manual work. We will do it for you. So basically, what business will need to do with us, just click button, approve or decline. We already tested one, and we saw 7x results on our focus group, which is huge potential. And yeah, I know that you are looking for a big money. That's why we decided to start in emerging markets. Ukraine is would be our first playground, but after that we will scale to Brazil and Indonesia. Do you interesting to be a part of New Skyrocket? I would be glad to present more with numbers, our business model, and so on.
Yeah, I love to see the numbers. Numbers never lie.
Yeah,
yes,
I know. Can we schedule a meeting? Do you have something in your schedule? Great.
I'm sure we can find some time. Thank you.
Cool.
So she got it in 4 seconds left. So she did it in time, but honestly, listening to the pitch, she could have finished at 1 minute.
Yeah.
Like, good one. Hey, yeah, you can make lots of money. 1 minute, okay? Okay. Wait, so, Ella, tell her what you think.
I think.
Don't look at me.
So, like straight to feedback? No. Yeah. So straight to feedback. I want to do some group coaching. So off the top of my head, when I really started listening was when she mentioned her validation, you know, so she hooked me in with a nice welcome. She knew who I was. That's handy. But when I really started paying attention was when you justified it, right? You came in with the proof in the pudding, because at the start we were running through lots of information, but as an investor with little time, I want to know that you're the real deal. Yeah. To the room, what was your takeaway? Like, what would if you now you've had 2 minutes of perfect, what would be your takeaway in a sentence of what they do?
What we are doing?
Yes. And then how are we going to make money as the investor? So as a oil tycoon, obviously I want to get excited by the money and the benefits come second. To me, the investor. It obviously depends if you've got an angel that's doing it for the social impact. So, business to business, depending on your angle, sometimes it's best to put, I'm the customer for this elevator, put what they want to hear first, and then, justify and explain and secure the intrigue. But I did really like it.
Yeah, I think overall you were very clear when you spoke. It was clear. Given that Adam is a person with experience in the oil industry, but not in the media industry, you might indicate the size of the influencer market. Like, for example, you know, influencers drive a lot of e-commerce. They drive a lot of spending. You know, for example, Kylie Kardashian, she started a makeup brand, and because of her influencer brand, she generated $1 billion of revenue of makeup all online through influencers, and her company was sold for $600 million. And it was all driven by influencer marketing. And so what we want to do is help all these small and medium businesses who need to get connected or promoted to their customers, to help them harness influencer marketing for them to grow their business. And we feel like in Ukraine, there are 20 million small and medium-sized businesses with revenues of XYZ, and if we can help them, we're looking at increasing their revenues by 10%, which is, you know, $10 billion. You see what I mean?
Yes.
Draw that connection. What is influence marketing? What is it important? And how it is the numerical impact that you're going to help your customers? Because that impact, you'll make part of the money, which means the investor will be part of it.
I got
Draw
it.
that connection on where the money goes.
Sure. Thank you.
Perfect.
All right. Next up is Reply Pilot.
Should I get this on? Yeah, of course. Yeah? Sure.
Wait. I want to get away all these. This is yours.
Maybe. I could. Oh, I might be thirsty in my lift. No, I probably won't. I'm in the lift.
Door opens. Enter. Donnie.
Adam? Oh my God, I've seen your investments recently since you came back to the UK. It's incredible what you're doing, really.
Thank you very much.
My name is Daniel. I have something that might interest you. So I'm working on this project called Reply Pilot. So, you know, in e-commerce, selling online, even if you spend as much as 30 seconds on your reply, you lose half of your customers. They're just gone. The attention spans are just so low now. So what we're doing is we're helping the sellers make this experience smoother using AI. This is a huge market. Companies like Shopee, which is like huge marketplace platforms, are losing around 5% of the revenue on those numbers. So that's around $600 million every year on just losing the sales. We're helping them bridge this gap using our technology, providing the sellers with the option to quickly and efficiently respond, but also including the information that's relevant to the conversation and keeping the voice of the seller real. So keeping all the advantages of this peer-to-peer communication while also bringing the speed and the efficiency of AI. So there's a lot of possible customers for this. Etsy, think Facebook Marketplace, and then we get into this huge market of sellers that could increase the revenue by 10% for the marketplace, twice for the people who are using it, actually. So what do you think if you could maybe start a meeting, tell you a little bit more in detail about this?
I'm not really sure I'm going to make any money from it as an investor. What's the returns like?
Oh, so running, compared for the Shopee example, for example, right? They're making at least 600 million of this. The running cost for us, just for the models, it's 10 million. So this is a X60 on the money we spent.
Now we can talk. Now we can
Sir
talk.
Davidson,
Yeah.
actually you have your next meeting with Diana Kocheva. She's amazing.
Well, he was just telling me about the money I might make.
I'm sorry.
That was fun. Very nice, very nice. At the end, I got excited when I heard about my potential excitement. The hook was nice. I think as an investor, I would want you to kind of ask me a qualifying question. Obviously, by the way, this is a different advice for tomorrow, right? Tomorrow, you've got an investor. It's it's a different setting. This is, generalizing, I want to hear money, and you want to convey that to me and get me excited. So I can't remember word for word, but at the start, you were kind of talking about solving your customers' problems. We're going to make it smoother. And then the money you did talk about, you said Shopee loses 600 million in potential sales. But the stats I want to hear about is, the impact or the margin or the turnaround that your reply pilot's going to give. Because you're completely right. It's an intriguing, we're going to reply in 30 seconds or you lose this. But the investor wants to hear about that slightly different market. Yeah, and then, but you answered at the end very excellently, 60x. Should have done it in chronological. Great detail. That was a clear reply pilot, 30 seconds. That was the one-liner. But yeah, a little more on the finances. What did you guys think as the room? Did we all follow reply pilot? Did we want to make money with Daniel? No? Come on, room, come on. Engagement. Let's all be in that lift.
Because it's just an elevator pitch, it's not in a formal setting, I would say.
So you're saying make it more conversation. Okay. Misha?
I think you explained what is reply pilot really great, and it would be nice to hear, for example, tomorrow, what for elevator could be shorter, especially since it's now it's 2 minutes, but in fact it's more likely to be a one sentence. And I also think the investor wouldn't remember also there's
Yeah, I can't remember.
What did he say?
And to add to that, yeah. And to add to that, with that qualifying question, he recognized me. Are you interested? Perhaps as a person bothering a busy investor, you could try and add value. Would you like the inside scoop? Are you looking for new leads? That customer, if you know my name, you should know what I want to hear from you, maybe, as an investor at least. No. All right.
So some feedback for you, Donnie, is you said, oh yeah, when businesses get a request, they take too much time to respond and the opportunity goes away. At that point, you should be super specific about what you do. You kind of write, oh, reply pilot does this thing where we and we use AI. And I'm like, AI for what? If the AI doesn't matter, it is the new technology you're harnessing. Really what reply pilot does is all these merchants are getting requests and they need to respond in 30 seconds in order to keep the customer's interest. So what we are offering them is a solution to be able to reply to the customer's request across all different platforms of communication with an answer that makes sense, that is backed by AI to get that right answer quickly and also send it to the customer in the right channel, whether it be WhatsApp, Instagram, or so on. There, do you see how specific I was?
Yep.
And AI was just, and of course, we're harnessing AI. And with this, do you know that e-commerce providers respond to 1 billion requests in a given day? And with that, we can speed up these requests, close deals, and what will happen is we will increase the revenues of e-commerce merchants by 20%, and which amounts to $100 billion.
And so they're gonna pay us for this, and with, you know, we see a revenue growth of this, and we'd like you to be a part of it. So, Adam,
Thank you.
do you see how I was very specific? It took away all the fluff. Oh, and then there's these things, and there's this Shopee, and there's this, and there's this. You know, you might say there's 100,000 e-commerce merchants on platforms like Shopee, Shopify, and this. But you kind of spent too much time on Shopee, and that was just an example.
Okay.
Does this help? So you want to make it chop, 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 chop. Say, what points are you going to get across? And then it's like you are a sculptor. Chop away all that extra wood or stone and get straight to what you're trying to show.
Great. Yeah, makes sense.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Good try.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Aurea.
So, you might make some last minute changes.
Do it.
Just come up here and change on the fly.
You can make up the numbers.
When you come into an elevator and you see the investor and you go, sir, I'm not ready to talk to you. Can you stand in the elevator for 10 minutes while I go do this? I don't think so.
This is literally completely made up.
Good, good.
Yeah, you think you would, did you know you're gonna come in the elevator?
Okay, fine.
It might break.
What?
Yeah, the elevator might get stuck.
Yeah.
And then we get like an extra.
You know what you can do? You can
Press the
maneuver
emergency.
yourself over the elevator and go.
It's a hostage.
So we're talking to each
Do,
other.
do it in such a way that people don't see. You guys, do it in such a way so
Yes,
that,
we'll stand up there.
like,
We're gonna-
do that. That way people can see you. Come ahead a little bit more. Adam.
This way?
No, come face no, this way.
Each other.
Face them.
You know,
Or
we just
just a
sold
little
for
bit.
10 billion.
This
Do you know what I
camera
mean?
gets them.
We need someone to.
Red, come closer for the camera.
We need someone to do our training. To do the training.
1, 2, 3. Elevator door open. Enter.
Did you?
And Emma.
Okay. Did you see that Siemens sold their machine for like 2 billion to the NHS this year?
Yeah, that was a big deal.
But I don't know who's going to be doing their training.
Yeah, I'm not sure as well.
I thought you had an idea about that, no?
Well, yeah, we can definitely reach to them.
So are you
Sorry.
James McMahon, the billionaire investor?
No?
Oh.
But I am an investor.
Oh, okay. Well, we actually have an idea that you might be interested in.
You have an idea? Is it going to make me any money?
I mean, the numbers we're talking about are quite big.
Tease me.
How much do you have to invest?
Sky's the limit in the oil industry.
Okay, good. Well, our industry. Do you want to explain?
Are you in the oil industry?
No, we're actually in the healthcare industry. And as you probably know, with the renewables and things like that, the oil industry is a little bit on the down, but health is always on the up.
Oh, okay. Diversification.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the healthcare industry, especially in the UK, we spend about 22 billion on new machines every year. But the training is something that's really lacking. I think you have some experience there.
Yeah, I'm biomedical engineer and I have been working with medical devices.
I want to hear about the money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Come on, I got a meeting. I'm going to go buy some art.
The spending in the UK on training is very, very limited in terms of the amount of training they're getting. With
How much can I make? How much can I make?
We're looking at an investment of maybe 100K and a return of around 10 million. in
Okay,
about
keep
3 years.
talking. What qualifies you to do this?
Do you have experience?
Yeah, so what happens is that current training methods are not efficient, they are too costly, and we are providing a modern way to do this with virtual reality modules.
And you have experience doing
yes.
virtual reality models?
Yes, our training is 70% cheaper, 80% more engaging, and also 50% faster.
I'm in a rush. So you're cheaper. How am I going to make my money? Where's the money coming from?
Straight to we're doing B2B. As you know, B2C is very arduous,
Okay.
a lot of work. So we're going straight to these manufacturers.
Oh, yes. Have you got my drink?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I got your.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay here.
Stay.
Stay.
It was mean.
I was mean because you started off chatting to yourself.
Yeah, we're trying to get you to eavesdrop and hear that we're talking.
No, I'm a busy man. I'm an investor.
It was a strange idea.
Yeah, I think what you guys did was good. It was just out of order.
Okay.
Okay. Like, in the beginning, you said, "Hey, this is the people are getting older, and we've got all this great equipment to save lives. In fact, the NHS has spent this much money on all this equipment, but the doctors don't know how to use it.
Okay.
So it's a waste of the money. We've developed a solution using VR to train these doctors how to use the new age equipment. And as a result, they can save lives quicker. They can, take care of the patients quicker instead of wasting repeated trips to the doctors and surgeries that don't work and losing the NHS $2 billion. And with this training that we have, we're training them how to use robotic surgery, so we don't have to have a major operating room. We do this. We can increase savings by this. NHS is willing to put money into buying this equipment, and they're willing to put money into training. And we're going to cut the cost of training by 50% because we're using VR instead of live people. And then Anna can step in and say, I know this area. I am a biomedical engineer, and I'm working on this. And I've been working on this solution. And, when we get it implemented, the NHS is going to pay us $2 billion. Sir David, would you like a chunk of that?
I would.
You just took what you did and organized it in a much, just that.
Mm.
And I kind of did NABC.
And you did have it half there. You could have hooked me with your emotional plea that the NHS lost the money, or you could hook me with the the social hook, or you could lure me in with the financial hook, and then you build the trust that you know everything, that this is your background. Maybe you build trust with, I've already done your medical accelerators. You didn't, because I'm in a rush. But then, yeah. So it's,
So you remember when we did how to pitch, you start with what? Why should you pay attention?
Yeah.
This is NHS, billions of pounds, okay? Trillions of pounds. That's why you should listen. Then the what is by automated training using VR, we can get the staff, the doctors and nurses trained much quicker on using this expensive equipment. Okay, so that's the why, the what, and now the how is, how are we going to do it? Well, we've got Anna, who the CEO, whose background is biomedical engineering, and she understands the equipment, she understands how to train them, she understands the VR technology, and she's going to make this happen.
and I think it's fortunate for the last two teams. We're learning from each other. When we're trying to do feedback, a good pitch would be like, okay, I remember how much money we're going to make. I remember who's going to buy it and why the business and why you, and then it's so easy to, grow the business. Mm. But it was good. Yeah. Yeah, and you had good justification with your good stats.
Yeah.
But the conversion into what the customer of that moment wants to hear. Yeah. The 17% savings, the 80% engagement, but converting that to the bill saving or the financial savings or the life saving would probably be better for an elevator. Thank you. Oh, good job.
You guys, the thing is this is the first time you guys have done this, right? For most of you, it's not easy, and that's why we want you to do this. I was just looking up a number of NHS.
For what? The
spending is 192 billion or something.
15 billion is cost to fix their errors. I looked that up.
15, yeah.
They spend 15 billion a year fixing their mistakes, which is probably caused by bad training.
Yeah. And just for fun, can I give your pitch? And I don't even know I don't know your stuff, but I can give let me try it and then think, hey, Oh, Sir Adam.
Oh, hello.
Yeah. I heard you made a lot of money on oil in the Middle East.
I don't like to brag.
Oh, well, yes, you're so modest. But, I heard you're also looking for investments, and
Always. The fund's closing soon.
Oh,
What are you
great.
thinking?
Well, you know what? One of the biggest areas of expenditure in the UK is in healthcare, and the population's getting old. NHS is spending a ton of money, and there's more people to take care of. And then there's a huge need for equipment and processes and tools to make the spending more efficient. So, thank you. What we've done is the NHS has spent like $50 billion on new equipment like robotic surgery. And our issue is people can't use it. So the 50 billion is going to waste. And we've developed a solution using VR to quickly train all the doctors and nurses and staff to use it. And this is something that the NHS is willing to spend $15 billion on. And what we want to do is help the NHS fix it, make the 15 billion, which you could make a heart of if you invest a little bit in us. And once we get this going, you know what? America, way bigger market, way worse, way messed up. They need this even more. So we're not going from a 15 billion target now to a 200 billion target. And you could also be a part of it. But what we do is need a little bit of support from you so we can finalize our solution, set up the trainings with NHS, and start getting this going to not only make a little bit of money, but help all of the British people and make us a stronger country. Sir Davidson.
Wow, I like the American part. Maybe I'll introduce you to a friend and I'll come back to you in a year.
Okay. But did you guys see? I'm not saying I did it right, but did it sound more convincing? Okay, that's because I've practiced this over and over and over. And this is like probably the 1,000th time I've stood on here and bullshitted a pitch. And so you guys just got to keep practicing and practicing, and it gets smoother and it gets smoother. And, especially you, Danny, it's like, it's the first time you came, it was kind of awkward, and shoppy and this. But once you get going, you start whittling away and get into boom, 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 boom. I need to show you guys a pitch where it's a 5-minute pitch a biomedical engineer did. And she's like, boom, 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 boom. But it took her 3 years to do it because I was mentoring her for 3 years. And the first time it's like, oh my God. And now she's like, boom, 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 boom. Okay? So don't feel bad. That's why we're making you do it. Because if you don't get up and do it and you're going to wait till you're perfect, you will never get to perfect. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
True view. Number 4, true view. Yeah? Or I'll bring the mic over. I should have. Okay, wonderful.
Hello, Adam. I heard you're an investor looking for opportunities to invest in. So I'm sure you're aware of today's global job market, where the demand for top tier 1 jobs is far less, and a lot of competent candidates do not end up landing the jobs that they deserve. So here is where me and my team came up with an idea called TrueView, where we build a smart platform where we build a community of job seekers who interact with each other, give each other feedback at different points in their careers, whether as a student stepping into the job market or doing a career switch, or when to ask for a raise. So you build a sort of.
Can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
I got to get out in a minute. Have you got any trials? Where are you looking to make money?
So we partner with companies who can post their job postings on our platform, and they get to directly access the data of these job seekers, and they can.
And sorry, I'm very rude. I'm very rich. How are we going to make money?
So it's the job market in UK itself. It's 600 million, and even if we penetrate like 5% of it, it's 30 million. So it's
I like the sound of 30 million. So your recruitment, yeah. How are we going to do this?
So initially, you just build the community where you get the data of the applicants, and you make them connect with job postings through companies. So we advertise these companies on the platform, and you can scale it by making it industry specific. So if someone wants to apply for a meta job, you can get particular advice from a recruiter.
Oh, Sir Davidson.
Oh, hello again.
I'm sorry. He has a meeting.
We're off. Sorry I interrupted. I just thought we're in a lift and I'm in a rush and I want to make some money. So that's the immediate takeaway. You got into the nitty gritty, and I want to be sold before you build my trust and explain it. So when we got round to the 600 million, was that I was a bit lost. So we had a 600 million pound job market, and we were going to penetrate 5% to make 30 million. And that was when my ears perked up. But kind of until then, I mean, remember, like, I didn't communicate, it was, hi, Adam. I don't know if I even said hi. we skipped a hook and an engagement and a qualifying question. And then we got into the good, technical side. But yeah, we got to quickly get to selling in a lift. Does that make sense? What did the room think, or do you think?
Shout them out, Is it correct?
Yeah, no, definitely. We want to be grabbed by the arm and taken to the bank, with you to make a ton of money.
Gosh, this isn't even on.
I should turn it off and on now.
It is. All right. Can you guys hear me? Oh, the sound is going to the Ukrainians, not this room. Okay, this microphone does not go to you guys. It goes to this. So whoever comes up here, like Anjani, okay, this only goes to that. So back there, Danny, could you hear her? Okay, Anjani, you are working on this amazing quantum technology, and you're going to make the world healthier, right? But if people can't hear you talk, your technology will help nobody. Do you want that to happen? No. And I know as Asians, our moms told us to talk in a soft voice so we can be ladylike, but it's not going to help us be successful as businesswomen or entrepreneurs. Okay? So I think you just have to learn to speak louder. Just pretend you're Adele. She gets heard in a room, doesn't she? And she gets heard. So you have to be heard. Another thing that I saw that you did is you stayed in your comfort zone. Your comfort zone was to talk about the product. Okay? Remember, what was the format I gave you for pitching? You start with a need, then you tell about the approach to solving the problem, then you talk about the benefits, and then you might mention the competition, right? And then you have to close saying, can I have a meeting with you? Okay? You hardly touched on the need, and then you kept going on and on about the approach, the technology, the solution, because you are a researcher and a technologist, and that's your comfort zone. Make sense? Really, when you do NABC, you should have equal time on N, A, and B, and you can do a little less on C.
And a hook in an elevator.
And a hook and a close. But DC is you shouldn't. Technologists and scientists tend to want to go on and on about the A, but people don't want to, like, that's too much. So you want to say, well, why is this important? What are you doing? What's the benefits? Maybe what else is happening? And then you close. See, you can make, there's a big market in this, only like 30 million pounds. And so we're looking for investment for us to make 30 million pounds. Does that make sense? So don't dwell so much on the A, but because you dwell on the A, because that's your comfort zone. But the only way you're going to learn to do this is to come up here. I'm so proud of you. TrueView.
No, Spectrum.
Oh, yeah, Spectrum.
Shall I be a bit rude?
Jay, after making as many proposals as you've done this week, you should be really damn good.
Shall I fight back?
You make it tougher, man.
Yeah.
Make it really tough.
And I'm not getting on one knee.
You want money. This is when you really should get on your knee. This is when you should grovel. All right.
Hi, sorry, mate. Can I get that button behind you? Sorry, cheers. So, what brings you to the rich investors elevator?
I'm one of them, actually. I'm the best. I'm the best one.
Really?
I have a great portfolio. I'm the best man ever.
Oh no, because I'm looking. For
My
rich
friend's
investor.
Trump.
Your friend is Trump.
No man is better than a woman.
I'm actually looking for a rich investor. Could I pitch you one sec?
Quick.
Okay,
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Let's do it. Nowadays, less people trust mainstream media. More people are stuck in echo chambers, and public discourse has become really toxic and intolerant. I mean, we've lost the ability to disagree respectfully, right?
Just the way I like it.
Okay, maybe this is not the right guy, but we'll keep going. We fix those problems. So our platform, Spectrum, brings together all of the perspectives on a given issue. We label them using a semantic analysis AI, and then we put them in one place for people to easily access, compare, and then we provide a space for discussion. So people get exposed to new ideas, and then they become more tolerant in their discussions.
I want money. I got to go.
Money.
Come on,
Okay,
money.
So the online news subscription market is worth $36 billion.
But I want my money.
Your money, okay. A mere investment of $250,000 could lead to, within 3 years, revenues of up to $12 million by our freemium model that will target students. Students have a growing awareness of the world. They're confused as to all this divisiveness and toxicity, and they want answers. They want to hear new perspectives. So we're going to target students with our freemium model, and you're going to get incredible returns for your investment. Could we have another meeting?
Could we? Nah.
No
Could
dice.
we?
Ooh, you got that in. You got that in.
No, we
Skin of your chinny chin chin.
My bad. Obviously, a lot of confidence. Everyone's different. You came with the correct, charisma and energy. I was your mate, was I? I was your mate.
Yes, mate. Yes.
Okay. I don't like that. No, but when you're all engaged, we're all engaged. I'm engaged. It doesn't matter how good the pitch is if they don't want to listen. And of course, on a boot camp, we're forced to listen. But in the real life, we want to get out of there. We did circle around to the money. I mean, I shouldn't, I think a takeaway is that I keep referring to the money, and Gigi might say the hook is the social impact. And you have to gauge that, your customer is in that room. So no matter how well, Gigi's right, the ABC, sometimes that customer in the lift just cares about money. And so you got to play the room. I jumped on you for that. The freemium model, I liked that you threw that in, but I guess, it swings and roundabouts. I wanted to hear more about like the competition, right? So I would have, because I was thinking ground news, right? But I didn't get your distinguishing factors.
Yeah.
But like, sorry, you went into semantic and, left and right, but I wanted to hear how, that was going to disrupt the market, I suppose. But then I guess that's a good thing. I had questions unanswered. I could have asked them in the lift, couldn't I?
And I won't tell you till the meeting. So.
Yeah, maybe. And maybe that's it. You're going to give me value and lure me into that next call. Because you could say something like, I'm raising the standards here, but you could be like, oh, if I say I don't like Trump, you could bring that into context. Oh, this could be perfect for you. This could be relevant, work your way in with the oil, or if you didn't know that. What did the room think?
I like it. I think
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so you can't use
We
Spectrum.
need an alternate opinion, yeah.
Yeah.
Which you could find on Spectrum.
Strategy to actually ask a question, can I pitch you? Don't you just want to go into it and grab him whilst he's there confined in the elevator with you? No, I mean grab his attention. So because he was kind of, I don't know, British polite or something, I don't know how you call it. It was like, oh, can I pitch you? No, you just don't ask, you just go ahead with it.
Well, here's the thing. And sometimes I think it's good to let them know you're going to pitch. Maybe not because if you ask them and they say, no, I don't have time, then you're dead, right? So you go, hey, I heard that you're looking to invest some of your oil winnings. Let me pitch to you. So at least you're letting him know that you're going to pitch, but you're not giving him a chance to say no. Got it?
And what about if he would start saying, oh, and I'm working on this, and so where you're not using the word pitch, but you just try and
hey, let me tell you about something exciting I'm working on. Let me tell you about some exciting, lovely lady that you can take out with all your oil warnings. Do you see what I mean? Let me tell you, or let me tell you. And rather, I'm very careful about asking questions where you get the wrong answer. Like when you go, how many of you have been on a plane this week? No one. Okay. Then I can't talk about issues of being on a plane. Do you see? So do you see how it was comfortable? It was more of a conversation. That's really what you want to do. Remember when I talked to you guys, it's not just about the content. It's about the presentation. And if you've got this perfect pitch with numbers remembered and you come up here and deliver it like a robot, does the person want to be with you? No. Like Jay came up and it's just like, hey, dude, let me tell you about something. It was just a conversation. And several of you said this was a good pitch. Because the realistic thing is when you go into an elevator and you're doing this, it has to be comfortable. Once they decided I wasn't a Korean spy, everyone relaxed. Mike Pence looked at me and he said, oh, what are you doing at this conference? And I was thinking, oh, I'm going to tell him I'm from Berkeley, which is the university Trump and Pence hate the most, except for Columbia. And then I'm like, ooh, I was like, what can I say that Pence would be interested in? So I actually said, I'm from UC Berkeley, but I'm here to teach entrepreneurship, which is very capitalistic. He goes, oh, that's good. And then I said, yeah, the organizers of this conference in Korea, they want to inspire Korean young people to become entrepreneurs. And so they asked me to come and teach about entrepreneurship and also bring my Berkeley students to teach them. And guess what, Mr. Pence, we're going to create a whole slew of Republican capitalists. Are you happy? But do you see, I tried to say stuff that would appeal to him, and that's kind of what you did. And Jay kind of did that with Adam. So make it a conversation. And I'm thinking, Okay, I'm pitching Berkeley to Pence. Okay, maybe Trump will not cut our funding the way he cut the funding to Columbia. All right, so I'm pitching to him this whole time, thinking about money for Berkeley, money for Berkeley. Get it? All right. Good job, you guys. You earned your lunch. Here's the scoop. We're switching the schedule around. And I sent the updated schedule into the folder. Hey, wait, you guys, shall we?